This is Dr. Bhavna Pandey, Assistant Professor from School of Management, BBT University. My today's lecture is titled Work Study. Now, in my previous lecture, I talked about productivity and its role in human resource planning. In this lecture, I'll talk about work study and how does it impact productivity. Now, work study is a scientific analysis of a system that is useful for achieving productivity and efficiency at work. So it's a job assessment technique and which is useful for achieving productivity, efficiency and at the same time satisfaction from work. So according to the British Standards Institute, it has been defined as a management service based on those techniques, particularly method study and work measurement, which are used in the examination of human work in all its contexts and which lead to the systematic investigation of all the resources and factors which affect the efficiency and economy of the situation being reviewed in order to effect improvement. So looking at the definition, we can say that work study, first of all, it's a generic term for two interdependent techniques, that is method study and work measurement. Now we'll study about both these techniques later on in detail. So work study involves both method study and work measurement. And work study is the systematic examination of the work in all its contexts. That means you are studying the job in its entirety. Right? So this contextual analysis helps to understand the activities of people, plant and machineries. Then it helps to identify the factors that affect their efficiency, that is the efficiency of plant, people and machinery, and how to achieve economy through their optimum utilization, right? So that you can make improvements. So work study now, so as seen in the definition, you are studying the whole work system and or you're studying all the resources and factors that affect the work so that improve the productivity and efficiency and as well as satisfaction from the work can be achieved. Now there are different techniques to improve productivity, but they are all capital intensive. And on the other hand, work study is a management technique and it focuses more on human element and the importance of operations rather than technical aspect. So its main objectives are first, effective use of plant and equipment, right? So work study, it helps to see how the plants and equipment can be used more effectively so that efficiency and productivity can be achieved and at the same time the human working on these plants and equipment can derive a satisfaction. Then secondly, the effective use of human effort. So again, work study, it helps to eliminate all wastes and drudgery and frustration. So how can human effort be used more effectively? Then thirdly, evaluating human work. So as said earlier, it evaluates the human work system in its entirety. Now, most of the workers, they understand that the work study has many benefits. It helps to eliminate drudgery, frustration, and it brings increase in their salary, and also it helps the nation to do better. But still, if work study techniques they are not applied properly, they may face resistance from all levels. So some points have to be taken into consideration when we are applying work study technique. Like for example, the workers should be consulted if any new system of doing work is going to be implemented because they are the ones who will be directly affected by it. Secondly, there should be policy on workers becoming redundant, and how these redundant workers will be redeployed or retrained in the organization. And thirdly, the procedures to deal with the changes in the method of work. These procedures have to be laid out and communicated to the workers. So, if these points are taken into consideration, then if any kind of change will come in the method of in the way of doing work, there will be less resistance from the workers. Okay, so another thing that we see here is what is method study. Now, as I said earlier, work study is a generic term that involves two interdependent techniques, that is method study and work measurement. So, what is method study? Now, method study again is an improvement step, and it ensures that less inputs are used and more output is gained using less inputs. And again, according to the British Standards Institute, it has been defined as the systematic recording and critical examination of the factors and resources involved in the performance of existing and proposed ways of doing work as means of developing and applying easier and more effective methods and reducing costs. Right? So looking at the definition, we can say that method is what? It is, first of all, you are recording, doing systematic recording, and you are examining all the factors that are involved in the performance of existing ways of doing work and proposed ways of doing work. That means how is the work being done in the organization, or what has been proposed in future, how the work will be done. Right? So you are examining all the factors and the sources that are involved in carrying out the work. Why? Because method study, it helps to develop and apply and come up with easier and more effective ways of doing work, so that it enables quality and cost control. Now, there are again many benefits of method study. It helps to bring in more creativity, more innovation, more best practices, and the communication structures and control structures again are in place. Then some things again have to be considered before while you are carrying out method study technique, and that is economic consideration, technical consideration, and human reaction. So these three considerations are very, very important while carrying out method study. So economic consideration is that whatever, if you are doing method study, that means you are trying to come up with some improved way of doing work, and that improved method should be cost intense. It should be cost effective, and it should lead to quality as well as cost control. And so the improved method should not be expensive. It should not be a burden on the budget. So it should look at the economic side of it. Then secondly, the technical consideration again. Now, what the improved version or the improved way of doing work again has to look at all the technical aspects and the practical considerations too. Then it should lead to simplifications of processes and methods, not complicate in the way of doing work. And again, it should lead to improvement of the way the work flows in the organization. So the technical part also should be looked into consideration. And thirdly, human reaction again is very important. So if humans, they will feel threatened, if they will feel that their earnings will come down, or the new method will not provide them safety and comfort, so then there will be resistance. So before designing and implementing the new method, the human reaction again has to be taken into consideration. So, now we can look at the goal of method study. That is, first is to appraise the purpose and objective of the organization, right? So the method has to look into the objective of the organization. And secondly, it has to evaluate the tasks that are being carried out in the organization, the tasks of the organization. Then it also has to evaluate the communication and control structures of the organization. Then the next thing, the role is to optimize the use of resources of the organization. Then it should come up with improved procedures, methods, and processes is another role. And lastly, it should ensure individual and group effectiveness and also satisfaction from work, right? So these are some of the roles of method study. Now, the objective of method study is obviously to find better ways of doing things, as I said, and to contribute to the improved efficiency by eliminating unnecessary work, avoidable delays, and other forms of waste. So the main objective of method study is to find a better way of doing the job, so that improved method avoids unnecessary waste and unnecessary work and delays and bottlenecks can remove. Right? So that is the main objective, and it can achieve this objective by systematically analyzing the factors and the resources that are involved in the performance of the existing and proposed ways of doing work. So this objective can be made more clear if we look at the contribution of method study, right? How does it contribute? So it can be listed as a review of plans and programs. This is the work of method study, and it evaluates the tasks, the targets of the organization, the available resources of the organization. Then it contributes to better designing of plans and equipment, leads to simplification of processes and methods, improved workflow, brings in quality and cost control. Then it leads to betterment of working conditions, optimum utilization of resources, then higher standards of safety, security, health, and brings in satisfaction to the workers. Okay, now these are some of the steps in method study. So if we have to carry out method study technique, these are the steps involved in it. First is a selection of the job. Now, first thing that you have to do is to identify the problem in the organization. So there could be bottlenecks in the flow of work. Then the cost may have to be reduced in manufacturing the products, or the organization may be dealing with some items that are causing delays and unnecessary wastage and so on. So what is the problem? That has to be identified first. Now, while selecting the job, that has to be examined. It has to be kept in mind. The objective of the organization has to be kept in mind. And secondly, it's not necessary that to choose from these listed problems, but it is advisable that whoever is taking up the method study technique should first do a preliminary survey and then go ahead with the study. Then after identifying the problem, the second is recording the facts. Right? So before discarding the existing method or procedure, the adequate facts about the present system must be collected. So based on the direct observation of the investigator. So direct observation by the investigator helps to eliminate any kind of bias, right? So before discarding the present system, all the facts about how the present system runs, so information regarding this should be collected. Now, third is critically evaluating the facts. Now, information collected is scrutinized to determine whether any part of the job needs to be eliminated, combined, changed in sequence, or simplified. So, after you have collected the information, it has to be scrutinized in detail and see whether the existing job needs any kind of modification, or if it needs any kind of simplification, or if it needs any kind of change in sequence, or so on. Then the fourth step is develop the new method. Now, uh, the development of whatever method is being developed has to be first, it first requires a test run to check its feasibility. And for that, the involvement of the department again is very important. So, and the end result should be an improved method that must be acceptable to the workers, right? So, whatever is the improved method whatever improved method is developed, it should be such that it satisfies all the technical aspects and the practical requirements, and it is also acceptable to the workers. Then the next is install the method. That is, when installing the new method, decisions regarding ordering of new plants or machinery or material has to be taken. Then phasing in changes in a process again has to be decided. Then the extent of redeployment, training, new documentation, procedures, new quality standards. So such decisions have to be taken. And next is maintaining the method. Now, so once the method has been installed, um, a job instruction sheet has to be prepared. It is needed, against which the job can be compared to detect any alteration. So when the new method is installed and the operator works on it, uh, many a times some minor alterations are made to it, and these alterations have to be detected and they have to be recorded. So that for that, a job instruction sheet should be prepared, and so that you can compare the job and detect any alterations. Similarly, job specification also can be prepared, and all these changes they help to detect what alterations are being made, and if these alterations they are useful, then they are incorporated in the new method, otherwise they are removed. Okay, now next we come to work measurement. So work measurement, again according to the British Standards Institute, it has been defined as the application of techniques designed to establish the time for a qualified worker to carry out a specified job at a defined level of performance. So again, if you look at the definition, it talks about establishing time. So how much time will a qualified worker take to do a specified job at the defined level of performance? The work of work measurement. Now there are different techniques of work measurement like time study, ratio delay study, analytical estimating, predetermined motion time standard. Now, the first technique, that is the time study technique, is more widely used and accepted. Others are more complicated. So, what is time study? It is a technique for determining as accurately as possible from limited number of observations the time necessary to carry out a given activity at a defined standard of performance. So, you are trying to establish time for an activity to be performed at a defined level of performance. So there are some steps required to carry out time study. Now first is collect all information about the job, right? So So whatever job is taken for study, all the information about the job has to be collected. Then secondly, to record the details of the method, right? So for that, the operations, they are broken down into different elements, and each element is studied and recorded. Then to record time taken by operator. Now the time is, with the help of the stopwatch, the time is recorded, that how much the operator takes time to do the certain task. And this is compared, the working speed of the operator is compared with the normal speed. Then is to convert the observed time to normal time. Then to decide the rate of balancing, that is how much more time can be given over the normal time for a particular activity to be carried out by the qualified person, by the operator. And lastly is to determine the allowed time for the operation. So this is how time is established with the help of time study technique. Now, there is another thing called ergonomics, which again impacts productivity. So, what is ergonomics? ILO, that is International Labour Organization, has defined ergonomics as the application of human biological sciences in conjunction with engineering sciences to the worker and his working environment so as to obtain maximum satisfaction for the work, which at the same time enhances productivity. So what is ergonomics? You are applying both human biological science and with engineering science, where to the work system, right? So that the worker gets satisfaction from doing his work, and at the same time it is enhancing the productivity of the worker, right? So just to give a simple example, for example, the person working on computer, so the chair, the table should be designed in such a way that the worker can easily work on his task, and he's less he makes less movements, which avoids unnecessary motions and takes unnecessary time of the worker. Then again, the switches and fixtures, they should be placed in such a way that again the worker finds comfort in doing his work. So that is ergonomics. You are applying both biological science with engineering science. Now ergonomics can be applied in offices, or it can be applied in shops, or it can be applied in ships or in aeroplane. Like for example, the pilot sitting in the cockpit. Again, there are a lot of operations to be carried out, and these operations and equipment should be located and designed in such a way that the pilot finds it easy to do his work. So the areas where ergonomics can be applied are design of equipment, power and hand tools, design of displays and warning systems, design of furniture, steps that are used by the operator, seats, then plant layout, that is the workplace layout, improvement in working conditions and environment. Again, ergonomics should lead to it brings improvement in working conditions and the environment. Then it also helps to compute how much relaxation allowances should be given to the workers, and it motivates the worker. So if we have to group all these points, we can say that ergonomics targets the areas that it targets are work, that is the perceptual load, the mental load, the physical load. Then it also targets the working conditions, like the posture and the working space, and then rest hours and so on. Then it also looks at the environment, how much the ventilation should be there, illumination, humidity, fumes. So what it again brings in improvement in the working environment. And it also looks at the human aspects, that is the characteristics of the humans, their height, weight, physique, motivation, experience, training, and so on. So, a work study which aims at scientific analysis of the work system to increase productivity and satisfaction at work is dependent on ergonomics for data on many facets of human reaction to a given work situation. So, work study, as we said, is analyzing the work system, and ergonomics. Ergonomics helps work study in providing data on many human aspects, and which is helpful to design the work so that it brings productivity and efficiency and also